Many of you have had the opportunity to read the book that you received earlier this month, The Candlelit Heart, and we're very excited to be able to have the unusual pleasure of having author Ms. Judith Kallman speak to us. I'd like to have someone who knows Judith better than I, although I was fortunate to be able to drive her over today and learned a little bit about the connections that we all can make with, the stories and where people came from in Europe. But Rabbi Darren, who's more of a pillar of the rabbinate in Greenwich, knows the Kallmans for much longer, and I think it's appropriate just to ask the Rabbi to say a few words, and then we'll hear from Judith her story a little bit about personal account.
Thank you. So I'm here, first of all, because this is a great institution. God bless all of you, young men and women. That's number one. Number two, anything that Jeff would ask me to come and do, I would do, just like that. And most importantly, when I heard why Jeff asked me to come, that's really why I jumped at the opportunity to introduce Mrs. Judith Kallman, who is really a matriarch in the Jewish community here, and slowly becoming a matriarch for the global Jewish community as you make your way around the world. What's so beautiful and special, meaningful, and you're going to hear in a few minutes for all of you, is that sometimes we hear things about the Holocaust and we roll our eyes. Okay, here it goes again. Another tragic story. Is this what it means to be a Jew? And it's not very appealing to listen to people talk about the sad parts of our history. But what you're about to hear, and what I hope everyone takes away, at least one of the things you take away, is that no matter what the circumstances were, Judith, Mrs. Kallman, always stands as an inspiration for all of us to be grateful for the blessings that we all have in our lives. People have it tough, but everybody has something to be thankful for, and to see that what you went through, despite it all, and through it all, not just afterwards, but through it all, to be so grateful for the blessings that you have, as we'll hear in a few moments, is really something that makes us very motivated and hopefully inspired to act the same way in our own lives, so that we can build upon all of the good that we have and make the world a more beautiful place. So thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward, as many times as it is, I could hear Judith speak for years on end.
Thank you, Rabbi. Dear teachers and students and guests, I'm honored to be here to talk to you about my book, The Story of a Child Who Happened to Be at the Wrong Place at the Wrong Time during the World War II. Through faith and hope, I survived. Excuse me. By writing my memoir, A Candle in the Heart, and speaking to young people about it, I'm fulfilling my responsibility as a child survivor of the Holocaust. My voice honors the memory of the innocent 6 million Jews, including the 1.5 million who were killed, children. I also honor millions of others whose lives were snuffed out by the Nazis and their collaborators before they understood what was stolen from them. I wanted my children and grandchildren to understand the lessons of my life and use them to build a future that is filled with compassion, awareness, and tolerance. My hope is that each of you will remember your own heritage. It is your source of strength, stability, and is the framework for the life that you're going to lead. I know this is true because it was true for me. I'm amazed at where life has brought me, so far from my terrifying childhood. I'm astonished at how much there is for us to celebrate in this great country. You see, I stand before you as a war orphan of the Holocaust, and also as a proud citizen of the United States of America. It was my faith, my will to live, and my determination that carried me through the events of the Holocaust. The memory of a loving home, adoring parents, and lively siblings sustained me and propelled me to move forward. Wrapped in memories of my family and in the hope of continuing their legacy, I learned to live and love again. I'm one of the few eyewitnesses left to the horrors that affected the Jewish people during the Holocaust, and did not always want to face it. But when my daughter Debbie had to write a term paper on World War II, she forced me to remember my past. And when she took her family to Auschwitz and called me from that place just before I lit my Shabbat candles, that was when I realized I had to write a candle in the heart, because it might help me reach people, especially young people, and teach them the horrific impact that hatred and bullying can have on our society. We can see it today around the world and even in America. You can imagine how difficult it was for me, with English as my fourth or fifth language, to put those experiences into words. It took me years. As a 40-year-old, I was declared an enemy of the Third Reich. I soon became a refugee in hiding, and that is why my heart breaks when I see pictures of children today across the globe representing so many cultures and colors, all of them victims of senseless hatred. I know this excruciating pain. It happened to me when my happy family life was destroyed as the news of hate heightened and the fascists came to power, and we were trapped in our house. When we fled to the countryside, I almost drowned in an outhouse. I discovered my faith in God and my determination to live. Before I could fully recover, we moved again, and we were collected to put into a transit camp. We escaped and went into hiding. But just a few weeks later, the Slovakian fascists, the Hlinka Guard, the Nazi collaborators found us, and as you read in the book, took my parents and my two siblings to Auschwitz. My 10-year-old brother was my only anchor. We sneaked to the train station a few days later, looking for our family. I know you read the book, but you can imagine what it was like for me. I will never forget watching so many people being pushed into the cattle cars. Through the mob, I spotted my parents. When I saw them, I screamed, I cried, until God pointed his rifle at my head and told me, "Shut up," or he would shoot me then and right there. That thinker God really saved us by making me shut up, or we could have been put and sent onto the train. When my father saw us, he shouted for us to flee, live, choose life. He yelled at us from a distance, "Survive, nothing else matters. Go and live." That is when my siblings and I went into hiding, running from one country to another to escape the Nazis. I did not realize until I put my story on paper how much my life depended on the kindness of strangers, even after my brother and I were abandoned on a park bench in Hungary, Budapest. We became the youngest prisoners in a lice-infested cell in the notorious county prison in Budapest. Once we were released, we were taken under a wing of a famous restaurant owner in Budapest. And when I was sent to school, and I was bullied by a girl who later on turned out to be my cousin. After the war, as a displaced child of World War II, I was sent to an orphanage in Czechoslovakia. I was 8 years old. I began my education again, this time in a convent. The nuns showered me with love and care and nourished me back to life. From there, my journey continued to England and then to Israel, where I was reunited with all my siblings. Not all of them, but 4 of them, 3 of them. Even though I had ups and downs and moments of self-doubt, I was determined to move forward and to become somebody. I wanted to make my life count. I came to America as a young bride and felt like I arrived in a country of my dreams, where people cared about each other and fought for equal rights. I have lived in the United States for many years. I have been blessed with children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, all born and raised here. I have always taught them that we who live in freedom should understand that not everyone lives a safe and secure life. We must empathize with those who suffer losses to help them understand the other's pain. Most of us don't do that, but having lived through what I did, I know it is not fun for the weak and vulnerable to be bullied by people who think they are bigger, better, richer, and stronger. Certainly, today on social media, we know that too many teenagers have little empathy for their classmates, especially if they come from different ethnic groups or religions. It is our responsibility to respect and understand people from different religions and cultures, from different parts of the world. We must be determined to learn how to accept each other, because together we can make and must make the world a much safer place. As a parent who has spoken with teachers, it is important for you, the children, to understand that you should not be bullies, because that is where the problems usually start. I'm going to pose a challenge to you. As young students in a world that is increasing dangerous, I'm asking you to help me in my quest to stop bullying, and here is why. Bullies are everywhere, and we all know at least one. They're in our classrooms, our home, our places of work and worship, in sports, entertainment, and in our political lives. Teachers report that racism and bullying in classrooms, even in your age group, have skyrocketed. But we grown-ups, distracted by the burdens of making sure that you have a roof over your heads and food on the table under stress, can be bullies too. We will neglect to do what we are supposed to do. We do make mistakes. So I'm asking you to be good people. Do not imitate us. Be better than we are. Always be kind, publicly and privately. Care about all your classmates. Help them succeed, and you will succeed too. You will be helping me by becoming caring, responsible. You will play a critical role by being passionate individuals, pursuing tolerance and love, and understanding that even if we look different or pray in different kinds of places of worship, we are all the same people. I learned this lesson by paying a very heavy price, yet somehow I understood that surviving the Holocaust as a child strengthened my faith and my determination to take my experiences and turn them into something positive, and I refuse to stop. That's why I'm challenging you, the students, to look at yourself and decide you will not be a bully. We need you, the youth in this country, to grow up to be the pride of our nation, to make a commitment to be loving, respectful to the people and other children in your lives. America is a great country where democracy, equality, and freedom are the hallmarks of our Constitution. We grant people human rights, and we must preserve our democracy by caring about it and not taking it for granted. Today, too many Americans take our privilege and rights for granted. They bully those they consider different and hurt them with words or worse. What can you do? See something, say something. When you see a classmate being bullied, tell a teacher, tell your parents, say you want it stopped, that you won't tolerate your schoolmates being hurt by people who have no respect and enjoy terrorizing the vulnerable. One of the things I learned from living as a child during the Holocaust is that you must stand up and stand against those bullies. You must speak out. You must pursue justice and bring good things into the world. Why is bullying so dangerous? Discrimination, prejudice, and bullying are preludes to genocide. Whether it comes from classmates, friends, or relatives, it hurts. When bullying comes from governments or organized groups, it is downright dangerous. Hitler and the people who supported him were bullies. People who use terrorism are bullies. People who threaten to take away your civil rights are bullies. But it is up to you to help stop the hate that is destroying our hopes, dreams, and our dreams. That is why I wrote my story, because I care about your future and the beautiful world we live in. To build a good future, learn to understand the past. Learn from my past that bullying and hate are terrible things. Democracy matters. Freedom of speech and freedom of religion matter. Pick the good things like courage, rising in face of evil. Speaking out against injustice takes those life lessons with you. Convince your friends to be kind and respectful too. I know that works because it happened with me. If you help others, then they will help you always. Please take the lessons of my life to heart. As Martin Luther King Jr. once said, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. I want to inspire you to be moved to action. I ask you to find a balance of faith and belief so that we can discover the purpose of our lives in this world and make it a better place for all of us. Thank you.